Alright, I don't really know how to preface this video. Basically, I'm curious about what people wanted to see as guides during Borderlands 2's like early ages. So I'm going onto the Steam community page, I'm going to sort by oldest, and we'll just see what we can come up with down here. Sniping like a pro. Alright. Introduction. So you want to make more heads pop, do you? Well, let's get you started. It's actually pretty easy if you think about it. Just make sure you follow the following rules. Play a 0. Okay. Invest in accuracy. Alright. Use a good scope. Don't use doll. Hesitate on using elemental weaponry. Except when using gauge. Okay. Control your breathing. Stay calm. Practice. Know what and when to snipe or to keep your distance from BAs and bosses. Okay. So, obviously, you don't have to play a 0, right? We can pretty well establish that. If you're playing 0 for the extra sniping damage, of course, that's great. But you could play Axton if you're just wanting to learn how to snipe like a pro, if you just need to get your accuracy down. You could put your turret out. You don't have to worry about enemies really like focusing you and like fighting you that much anymore. You could also play Maya so that you can have phase lock. And the only downside of phase lock on Maya is if you have elements, you'll have to deal with all the dots appearing and getting in the way. But that's about it. So those are all good picks for them. Of course, if you're Gauge, you won't really have accuracy unless you're using a Hot Mama, or if you don't spec into Anarchy, which is her only damage stat that actually is good. Salvador doesn't need to snipe, and Krieg can just exist without sniping, but you could snipe with him if you want to. Invest in accuracy. No. Unless you have extra skill points left behind and your name is 0, and you just need a dump stat, you really don't need to invest in accuracy too much usually, because it's a sniper rifle. Unless you're using like the Patriot, or something with the worst parts possible, usually they're going to be pretty pinpoint whenever you're zoomed in. And even if they're not, the game's usually pretty lenient about giving you headshots, so you don't really need the accuracy from this. So I'm sure we probably learned over the years not to really rely on accuracy so much, because snipers are just generally fine with accuracy. Use a good scope when available. This doesn't always mean a scope with high zoom. Good in this case means fits the situation. If you've got enemies close to you, you just want a normal zoom. Oh, okay. So this person is discussing the zoom on a sniper rifle for how accurate you will be during sniping, which is somewhat fair, but also in this video game, the zoom does not matter as much as the bullet delay matters, because in this game, whenever you shoot, it is a projectile. It is not a hit scan, so you will have the delay on longer ranges. So while having a long scope may seem like a good idea, at the same time, you probably just want to get closer to your opponent so that you can hit them more accurately and not have to lead your shots or anything weird like that. So, and also they're not mentioning the fact that scopes will provide minor buffs to accuracy or recoil reduction or stuff like that. Alright, number 4. Don't use doll. I don't like doll personally, so I get where they're coming from. But it's okay to use doll. If you like doll, use doll. Most people just don't, because the burst fire makes it really inaccurate, especially for sniper rifles. But they have a couple good uniques, like the Gwyn's Head, the Lascaux. That's it. But like they're still good, you know? Like you can use them if you want to. I just wouldn't personally. Hesitate on using elemental weaponry. Okay. So why? Because all you get from using an elemental sniper is extra damage. Now, of course, if you're using a Jacobs with like high damage, high crit, that's probably going to do better in a lot of situations. But if you're in a situation where you have like a Pimpernel, which I guess didn't exist back in the day, this is a post from 2013. I don't remember if Pirate DLC was out by then. Pimpernel would do incredibly. And even the Snyders. The Snyders, you could get a Lyuda, you could get, I was going to say Skullmaster, but that's not elemental, so that doesn't count. But elements on snipers is fine. Especially, like, yeah, no, like, this is good. you should probably use an element on a gun, unless you just have a really high damage sniper, like a Jacobs with like crit, or like a Jacobs barrel, or something like that. But yeah, elemental weaponry when sniping is fine, of course. Control your breathing. So this point they're trying to say if you control your breathing, which also 6 and 7 they're basically making the same claim. If you stay calm while you're shooting, you will be able to accurately do things better. It will help you with your aiming a little bit. You'll be able to like focus on it. You'll be able to like just see what's going on. Obviously, having sight of what's happening and staying cool in a situation can help you with aiming. So like this still makes sense, and this is pretty fair. And then practice. Practice is also good. This is a good point. This is a fair point. And then number 9, knowing what and when to snipe or keeping your distance from VAs and bosses. This is also pretty true. Sometimes you need to focus certain enemies first because you know they'll be more aggressive or they're more of an issue. Think like heavy nomads, RPG loaders, rabids, stuff like that. Anything that'll just like really cause you to have a bad day. Surveyors even sometimes. And then also, you know, like just if you're sniping, stay away. Don't go near the enemy. They're spicy. You can't handle it. You're using a sniper rifle. Just stay away. So like, yeah, this is fair. I think a lot of this has changed over the years, and this is probably just early exploration of the video game. Once again, this was posted in 2013. But it's still interesting to see. Maya skill guide. Phase locking and rocking. Okay. Alright, so this is from 2013, level 50 skill tree. That makes sense, that's fair. So here is a picture of the build. So we're going damage, phase lock duration, a little bit of shield, little convergence, a little bit of healing, a little more damage. And then we're going for mag size, extra elemental chance, a skill that's not really useful anymore, at least. It might have been good at level 50, I don't know. And then we got Cloud Kill, which didn't used to be good, so I'm surprised it was in this. But honestly, nowadays, this is still good, so that works. Chain Reaction, which is always good. Reaper, which is always good. And then skip Blight Phoenix and then go to Ruin. Now, this skill build makes sense to me. If you're playing solo, I'm assuming that there is another version of the skill tree, maybe, that would also give us like a multiplayer flavor. Oh, there's not. There's just a way to get to Resurgence. Okay. So, or not Resurgence, whatever. So, on this build, I would probably just change Helios over to Immolate, personally. Or even maybe go into Blight Phoenix if you had Life Tap, because then if mobs are nearby, you just constantly tick healing from it. But I don't think Helios would have been a great pick. It doesn't do incredible damage. I don't know if it did at level 50. I guess you don't really need to min-max at level 50 though, to be fair. So you probably could have avoided like using Immolate back in the day. But I think Immolate would have just been a better pick here. And then this build is pretty much the same idea, but we take points out of mid-tree, and then we just put them into left. Oh, this is for a level 61. Oh, okay. Got it. So this is just the same thing, but more skills, and they just kept kind of following through. They dropped the extra healing, or the extra shield regen, which is really weird. But I guess they decided to just go full, like, phase lock stuff. Okay, that's kind of fair. Let's see what they have to say. This is the 7, and I want to show you my personal Maya skill tree. I do not claim this to be the best build out there, but it's a build that's at least functioning. If you ever feel yourself getting weaker and weaker as a Siren, I recommend you at least try this out. 5 out of 5 into Accelerate. The raw damage boost is crucial, and the increased bullet speed speeds up your combat. I guess that's kind of true. Some people would rather spec into Ward just to get the extra like shield capacity there. If you have a legendary Siren, you could put 1 point into Ward, and then you could go back to Accelerate, or you could go between the two really and just decide what you want to do there. but this is kind of fair, I guess. Extra bullet speed means that you actually like get more hits on target, especially if they're moving. 5 out of 5 into suspension, which is pretty fair, because if you want to go with the phase lock duration so that you can have more rec bonus or like other stuff like that, then this makes sense to me, so this is also pretty good. 1 point in convergence makes sense. You just want to pull everything together so that your chain reaction can do stuff. You can throw rockets in there, you can get the slag from ruin on everybody, stuff like that. That makes sense. And then 2 out of 5 into inertia, because the reload speed and the shield is really nice. And honestly, if you're using an absorb shield, because I do, and I bring this up every single time with the kill skill for shields, 1% of a shield on an absorb is still like the chance to absorb. So as long as you're getting a kill every once in a while, you always have your percent chance to absorb. I know it doesn't block melee, I know Porg Splash and Elemental Dots still exist, but for those normal bullets and for the ones that don't proc elements when you're lucky, you will absorb. So yeah, it's good to have. 5 out of 5 points into Sweet Release. This is good for you and your party because you just get healing. That makes sense. 1 point into Wreck because the extra damage is nice. And they'd probably put more points after level cap increase. There we go. Cool. Alright, so yeah, that's about right. 5 out of 5 into Flicker because Elemental Effect Chance is good on Slag Chance. Not necessarily on other elements, because we all know Elemental Dots aren't very strong, and they basically say it here. But the extra Elemental Effect Chance is nice for things like Slag. 5 out of 5 into Foresight because increased reload speed and magazine size. They said combat speed, which I guess makes sense, but that's also a weird way to phrase it. 5 out of 5 into Helios is a weird pick. It doesn't do as much damage at level 80 anymore. Maybe it was good at TVHM level 50, but I would probably go with Immolate nowadays because you get 50% more damage on top of whatever your gun damage currently is, so that's pretty strong. And then 4 out of 5 into Chain Reaction makes sense because you want to get down the tree, but you don't have the points to make it 5. This is really good because it'll deal a lot of damage. Cloud Kill deals a lot of damage. It didn't used to, so I'm surprised it's on here, but now it definitely does, so it's really good that it's on here. 5 out of 5 into Reaper makes a lot of sense because half the enemy's health bar is just going to disappear, and then the other half won't be as bad because it's only half. And then 1 point into Ruin because Slag, obvious, like it just makes sense, yeah. No backdraft build because they realize that it's kind of niche. And then equipment, they're not sure about. They're using a good touch, which I kind of respect that, I guess. And then they're using a B and the Forbidden SMG, got it. And then they're just kind of messing around with other stuff right now, not really picking things out. And then they're using a plus fire damage, plus fire chance. Yeah, so they're using a Fox class mod with the Helios and Reaper, which I didn't know it spawned with those, but got it. And then usually go for an increased magic find chance artifact. Oh, they're Diablo 2 fan. Oh, thank God. Alright, cool. So, basically, Diablo 2 had magic find, where basically you could have a percent chance to find better magic items, and we called it magic find. And they've said it here. I know they mean the blue artifact that like gives you a better chance for finding rares, but like this is great to me. This really just kind of proves where like Diablo 2's influence is, and it's really cool. But like this all makes sense. Maybe a Bone of the Ancients would have been better. They clearly are still kind of new to the game. They were also playing in 2013 when the game just existed, so maybe they didn't know about everything yet. But yeah, this is cool. I might go ahead and do a couple more of these in the future, because honestly, I kind of like looking at this stuff. Seeing what people used to nerd out about is really, really fun for me. I don't know why, but it really is. Just like peeking in, seeing what it is, discussing it. Maybe you guys will like tell me some stuff that you know, maybe something I should look at. Like, if there's an old guide you know about that you think that I should look at and like have a nerd just blech about, let me know. Leave a comment, maybe like, subscribe if you do, I appreciate it. Have a nice day.